Welcome to Vsb News Online for Monday, March 16th. I'm Peter Kitzel. The PLP censured the Speaker and the OBA government censured opposition leader Mark Bean in a bizarre game of tit-for-tat that plunged Parliament into further acrimony and name-calling today. Mr. Bean claimed afterwards that the Speaker had brought Parliament into disrepute, despite his admission that he had been wrong to stifle debate on Friday, and he admitted saying, "I'm going to take you all out," as he walked out of Parliament on Friday, which OBA backbencher Mark Pettingill said would have got him arrested outside the chamber.
So that's a fundamental problem. That is a mountain. And you have fundamental, simple rules that ensure good governance and good order in Parliament. And when you avoid or ignore those rules, then it brings disorder. And so
he's admitted to that.
And so, because you admit it, there should be ramifications. That's the bottom line. This isn't something that has occurred over the last 2 weeks, you know. Like I said, it's been going on for 2 years. And so, as I was seeking to do, ask and present the case why his role as a speaker is untenable. The one Bermuda Lions like to sit off on the other side of the aisle like little court justice, making the little childish remarks, but they have no idea that if his role as the speaker is untenable, it's because it's directly tied to them. So I wouldn't be laughing like little children if I was them.
But Mr. Pettingill moved a motion to censure yourself.
Yeah.
So it's really getting to be a very serious matter.
But that's the typical childishness and deception of a fraudulent government, the one Bermuda Lions government. They feel that I said something as we exited the chamber on Friday. You know what I said when I was walking across them? I said, I am going to take all of you out, okay, because you are all facing 15 years in prison. That's my job. I'm the opposition leader. I don't go down to the yacht club and have cocktails and break bread with them people. All right? My job is to remove them from government, especially since they are hell-bent on stepping on the necks of every voter and citizen of this country. My job is to defend the voters and the people of this country, not to collude and have tea with the one Bermuda Lions. So in their typical childishness, right, they take words that are said and they're trying to twist it up like it was a physical threat. We are in Parliament. It's my job to remove them, and that's what I said. I will not rest until I take all of the one Bermuda Lions out of government.
A line has to be drawn in the sand at some point, and we have been the subject of, vitriolic comments and personal attacks and innuendo and inappropriate things being said for a couple of years now. We always seem to come from the same direction. I entirely think that the Speaker was right in what he did on Friday. I was surprised he retracted it, to be honest with you. Certainly the previous government, that type of thing was done many, many times. I amended a motion a few weeks back, the Honourable Zane De Silva started. Nobody said boo. So I don't know if this is a distraction or a detraction, to try and get away from what we are actually getting done. And if it's all politics, I hope not. But, that being said, and people want to throw their toys out the pram and storm out the house, okay, you can do that. But there has to be a degree of decorum and respect and following of rules. And you can't be saying things like some of the things that I personally heard said on Friday night. It's just not on. It wouldn't be on in any civilized system in the world to, make those types of comments, especially if you start getting into language that can be interpreted by the reasonable listener as being threatening. It was threatening language that was spoken. And I mean physically threatening language, and that may be that, it was meant this way, that way, that doesn't matter. It's how the person takes it, I took it in a certain way, and none of us should be subject to that, and that's why I say this is all regrettable. But we've got to draw a line in the sand and say, enough. I had enough calls over the weekend. All members had enough calls to say, we just can't put up with this any longer. You cannot put up with this type of conduct any longer. The world is watching us. We're trying to get things done. And we can't descend into this type of, vitriolic back and forth, vitriolic allegations, specious allegations, without any substance, that are just designed to detract, distract, and be offensive and throw people off their game. That type of politics you see going on, in places, in less civilized places in the world, where they kind of get a parliament together and they descend into fisticuffs and all these types of things.
Speaker Randolph Horton told Parliament this morning that he had been wrong in the heat of the moment, to silence debate and call for a vote to be taken during Friday's sitting of the House of Assembly. But he condemned the disrespect shown him by PLP Deputy Leader David Burt, both in his letter to him and the material sent to the media over the weekend. Here is how he sought in vain to put out the fire.
I wish to say the following to members of this Honorable House and to members of the general public. Upon careful reflection, I believe that I could and should have taken a different course of action on Friday evening. It certainly was not my intention to prevent or shut down debate on the original motion or the amended motion. I had heard some argument on whether the amended motion should be allowed, and I ruled. I thought it could be put, and I stand by that decision. In my haste to move the debate along, I allowed it to be brought to a vote. Upon reflection, and with the benefit of hindsight, I now accept that I should not have allowed the amended motion to be brought to a vote at such an early stage. It is now my duty, and indeed my wish, to resolve this matter for the sake of maintaining good order in the House. In the circumstances, I am proposing the following process whereby the current grievance or complaint against the Speaker's decision might be addressed. I shall refer this entire matter to the House's Standing Orders Committee, which is empowered under our rules to consider and report on matters which appear to affect the powers and privileges of the House.
Premier Michael Dunkley personally assured beleaguered Speaker Randolph Horton today that the government party stands behind him and will not support the opposition's motion of censure brought against him for curtailing debate during Friday's session. He recalled that when his party was in opposition, they had had the maturity to accept the Speaker's rulings without descending to name-calling.
I've been very concerned about what took place this morning. I just was in the Speaker's chambers and I told him very clearly that he has our full support. I've been in Parliament, both sides of Parliament, the upper and lower, for a number of years, and I realize clearly that there are always very contentious issues that come up, but when the President or when the Speaker rules, that's the rule. I'm very concerned that the opposition will do everything they can to divert, deflect, and depose, and I think it's unacceptable. You have to be measured by your own actions and your own words, and I think all people will be in time. We're disappointed that the opposition seen fit to lay down a censure motion against the Speaker. I think the Speaker's statement was very clear this morning. I think he created a great deal of blame at the Honourable Member's Burt's feet, and also he took some of the blame himself for the decisions he has to make. I understand, I think every member of this chamber understands that when you are in the Speaker's chair or sit as chairman, you have to make decisions at the drop of the hat. Very fast-moving things that have to take place in considerations. And the Speaker, I think, has done a commendable job of trying to keep us all in check. The opposition has done their best to be aggressive and to undermine the seat of the Speaker. And I think it's unacceptable. Brian, the last thing I will say on this is that the Speaker will deal with it, and the Standing Rules Committee will deal with it as well. But I find it very interesting that when the shoe's been on the other foot, we haven't heard anything from members on that side. And I can go back in my parliamentary career, recent and further in the past, when the Speaker's ruled against us. And we make our point, and when it's done, the Speaker says, I had enough and we have to move on. So now that the shoe's on the other foot, it just fits a little tight. And the Speaker should know that we as a government support the work that he has to do in there. And we've been ruled against a number of times. We accept that because that's his job, to eventually make the ruling and move forward. It's 12:30 now. We just broke for lunch, and we haven't conducted any of the people's business. And for that, I'm gravely disappointed.
And we'll be back with more news right after this.
The Marketplace Food Court is you and your family's one-stop shop. Start your day at the Breakfast Bar with omelets made to order and traditional Bermuda codfish breakfast. The chefs will cook lunch and dinner to your liking. Along with the salad bar, sandwich bar, sushi bar, and fruit bar, the Marketplace Food Court is your kitchen away from home. Every day is hassle-free with nutritious meals from the Marketplace Food Court. Visit us 7 days a week. Homemade cooking, quality service, all at prices you can count on.
Bermuda met its first ever Commissioner of Information this evening when newly appointed independent official Gitanjali Gutierrez gave two public briefings on what the people's access to information legislation would offer when it came into effect on April the 1st.
In many countries, public information and having access to it is one way that people are able to enforce and protect their human rights.
In Bermuda, is that going to be an issue?
I think it will be in Bermuda. There's been a lot of information that the public concerned about all kinds of things, about spending, about the environment, about development, about the economic development of Bermuda. All of those groups and members of the public have been asking for information, and now they're going to have a process that grants them a right to request that kind of information. So I think people will be better prepared and more informed to engage with public authorities on these issues.
What are you going to tell them tonight?
So tonight we're going to go over a couple of different things. The public needs to know how the Act works. So they have a right that's going to start on April 1st, and tonight we're going to talk about what that right is, how members of the public can go into a public authority and request a record from the public authority, and what will happen when that request is processed. So I want people to begin to understand how to exercise their rights under the PADI Act.
Now, say you thought that your relatives or your ancestors had their homes taken from them unfairly, robbed by their lawyer or whatever. Is that the kind of information they'll find in your part of the world, or are the archives where they will be sent?
I think if people are requesting records that are historical records, that they're going to need to start with one public authority and ask them, is this something that you still hold, or has this been transferred over to the archives? So I think it's probably going to need to be decided on a case-by-case basis.
So at this point in time, before the date comes up, we can't access certain information, and as of that date, we can. What are the kind of major issues, which are the major subjects that you think will excite people?
I think people are going to be excited to ask questions about how public money is spent. I think that that's something that people have been asking a lot of questions about. There are questions about perhaps environmental impact statements or environmental assessments. Some people also just want to know more information about what the activities of public authorities are. Really, it can be a wide range of information coming from people depending on their own interests as a citizen of Bermuda or their own concerns as residents here on certain issues.
Bermuda's motoring public could be facing roadside breathalyzing by midsummer if Transport Minister Sean Crockwell is successful in having the regulations changed to permit such testing prior to arrests.
Mr. Speaker, the Transport Control Department, with the assistance of the Bermuda Road Safety Council, the Bermuda Police Service, and other agencies, have completed the research on roadside sobriety testing and its viability in Bermuda. The working group reviewed relevant legislation and schemes in several other jurisdictions, and the research also included identifying an approved testing device that is most suitable for use in Bermuda. Through further consultation with the Attorney General's chambers and consideration of constitutional issues related to testing before arrest, roadside sobriety testing will be introduced as an alternative substantive testing method to the existing testing that currently is administered at the Hamilton Police Station. Mr. Speaker, the selected handheld testing device is the Draeger Alcotest 7510 unit, and the unit has to be capable of being used as evidence in court. Therefore, the Transport Control Department is making the necessary arrangement for the manufacturer to provide local demonstrations on the use of the unit and verification on its suitability for the intended purposes. Speaker, the introduction of the handheld testing unit will not require legislative amendments, and once we have completed the verification of the unit and it is deemed acceptable by the Bermuda Police Service, we will lay an order approving the said instrument, and if there are no identified issues, we intend to lay this order in May of this year.
And now we turn to Earl Baisden with the latest from the sports desk.
The Bermuda National Athletic Association announced the 2015 Carifta Athletics team. The team will be accompanied to the games by Jarita Vickers and Rohan Simons. Qualifying for the under-18 women's team is Tiara DeRosa. She'll compete in the shot put and discus. Sakari Famous in high jump. Michaela Wilson also in high jump. The under-20 women's team will consist of Kyra Skradis, and she'll take part in the 1500 and the 800 meters, while Keisha Miller will compete in the long jump. The under-18 men's team will consist of David Darrow, who will compete in the 1500 meters, Aaron Jacobs in the 800 meters, Micaiah Robinson in the 800 and 400, while Elisha Darrow will compete in the high jump. The under-20 men's team is Janiyah Parent-Chief. He'll compete in high jump. Ethan Phillips will compete in long jump and triple jump, and Keonjay Sumner will compete in the 200 and 400 meters. On Saturday night, Kyra Skradis and Daniel Oatley were crowned the male and female Teen Service Award winners for sports. The 32nd Bermuda Outstanding Teen Award ceremony took place at the Fairmont, Southampton. Yesterday, in Premier Division football action, it will prove that it will come down to the final week of the season. This after the Somerset Trojans defeated the North Village Rams 2-1 at Bernard Park. The Dandytown Hornets drew 2-2 with Southampton Rangers at St. John's Field. At Bernard Park, all three goals came in the first half. It was Justin Dunaway's cross that was tapped in by Jazz Rattery Smith to give Somerset Trojans a 1-0 lead, but a Tyrell Burgess free kick was headed in by Rakeem DeShields to equalize for the North Village Rams. The winner came just minutes before the break when Adolphus Lambert's curling shot beat Troy Hall in goal for North Village to give the Somerset Trojans the 2-1 victory. Over at St. John's Field, the Dandytown Hornets looked to have sewn up the victory with goals from Janaze Swan and Sian Darrow. However, it was Gennaro Tucker's injury time equalizer that proved the difference as the teams played to their 2-2 draw. Aaron Simmons had earlier scored for Southampton Rangers. In other Premier Division action over the weekend, it was St. George's Colts 0, Flanagan's Onions 2, PHC Zebras 0, Devonshire Cougars 0. On Saturday night at the BAA Field, it was Robin Hood 2, Hamilton Parish 1. In First Division play, in a battle for first place, Devonshire Colts and the Boulevard Blazers drew 1-1 at Police Field. Boulevard Blazers took the lead in the 12th minute through a Dunye Taylor goal, but Jade Eve equalized for Devonshire Colts in the 71st minute. In other First Division action, it was Young Man Social Club 1, Crossroads 3, Island Rangers 1, Wolves 1, St. David's 4, Paget Lions 0. The match between Somerset Eagles and BAA was not played as home team Somerset Eagles failed to field a team against promotion chasers BAA, and the field was not marked. However, there will be a twist to this. We'll have more details on that developing story in future sportscasts. The Bermuda Karting Club and Bermuda Motorcycle Racing Clubs held their Grand Prix racing in the dockyard area over the weekend. Brandon Frank, David Sally, and Michael Fontana finished 1, 2, and 3 in the 125 shifter class main race event. The tag senior class main event race saw Scott Barnes cross the line first, Amber Lopes finished second, and Stephen Eversley finished third. Cyril Witter, the third, won the Super Mini Bike main event race, with Dejani Lamb finishing in second and Sandy Benavides finishing in third. Round 1 of the 2015 Digicel Bermuda National Squash Championships took place inside the Bermuda Squash Rackets Association Club. In the men's open PSA division, defending champion Michael Franklin got off to a winning start, defeating Ben Bremlett 11-3, 11-3, 11-4. Kristen Muldoon defeated Shane McDonald 11-2, 11-5, 11-8. The 2015 Round the Grounds running races took place at the Botanical Gardens, with over 700 runners taking to the course. Jaden Ming won the boys and girls 13 to 18-year-old race, clocking a time of 12:33. Laura Hope was the first female finisher and 6th overall in a time of 15:15. During the boys and girls 11 to 12-year-old race, Ryan Otterbridge crossed the line first in a time of 5:22, while Holly Bruton was the first female finisher and 6th overall at the time of 6:19. Turning to basketball, Bermuda ended their trip to Guyana without a win after going down 59-56 in their final game of the three-game series. Bermuda led Guyana 32-19 at the half, but the team lost focus in the second half, and Guyana hit 6 three-pointers to get back into the game and eventually pull out the win. Jonathan Lowe led Bermuda with 12 points and 6 rebounds. Jason Lowe and Chris Crumpler both scored 11 points. Sullivan Phillips scored 7 points and grabbed 11 rebounds, and Dean Jones scored 5 points and grabbed 9 rebounds. Not even a full season into the mountain bike, but Gary Rayner was crowned the Bermuda Bicycle Association's Winner's Edge Mountain Bike National Champion yesterday, while Sarah Burnett won the ladies' title. Burnett clocked a time of 43:17, with Karen Bardage finishing in second in a time of 44:11, and Karen Smith finished third in a time of 48:46. Rayner clocked a winning time of 1:20:43. Shaquan Richardson finished second in a time of 1:21:08, and Mark Haverley finished third in a time of 1:21:13. Taking a look at women's hockey action, it was the Budgies defeating the Bluebirds 5-0. The Ravens defeated the Swallows 2-1. Both of those matches were on Sunday, while Saturday the Ravens and the Wildcats played to a 1-1 draw. I'm Earl Baston reporting for VSB Sports.
Looking at the weather for Tuesday, March 17th, there will be a mix of sun and cloud with 1 or 2 light showers. Winds will be west-northwesterly, moderate, backing west-southwesterly, moderate to strong during the afternoon, increasing strong by evening. We are expecting a high near 68 Fahrenheit and a low near 58 Fahrenheit. This weather forecast is courtesy of the Bermuda Weather Service. Thanks for watching VSB News Online for Monday, March 16th. I'm Peter Kitzel.